What's up, people? Maybe it's the yeah, it's like 3 a.m. here. Can you hear me? Let me know if my mic is working. Yeah, it's like 3 a.m. Yeah, it's working good. Mic is on. What's up, everybody? How's it going? I put my I put my PayPal in the chat room so people can donate in the PayPal link because we no longer have a super chat. What is up, everybody here today? Johnny's in the house. Chloe is in the house. Indigo 1111 is in the house. Yeah, it's like 8 a.m. in UK for sure. Definitely. We got 7 people watching. We got 7 people watching, no doubt. Hope everybody is doing good out there. So if you guys also go to oh, I messed up. I can't put the other. I'll remove the other. I'll put the other. You guys know the websites, mysticalspiralstore.com, themysticalspiral.com. Also, I just updated some stuff on my Mystical Spiral. I gotta contact the other website because I have that on a different platform than my store. But I just updated the colleagues as well. I'm putting more colleagues up on my website so you guys can check it out. Um, Hold on, I'll put it up for you guys real quick while we wait for some other people to join in. Let me share screen with you guys. Boom, boom. So this is my other website. If you guys aren't familiar, I have a free information website as well as a store. And you guys can go on here. I have all sorts of information on this website. I just updated the About Us page, but it didn't fully update because I took away some stuff and added stuff like the whole Eye of Ra on Truth Frequency Radio. Yeah, that's no longer there because Truth Frequency Radio doesn't exist anymore. So I took that stuff away and I added some stuff. But so I gotta uh contact the company because my domain's with a different with a different provider. So I gotta go send them my ID number or whatever so they can enter it in so I can get the updates. But my colleagues did update. I have colleagues on here so you guys can see. Hopefully it'll show on this if the first one is lower. Yeah. So you guys can see real quick um my oh good. All right, Chloe. Chloe, you can have a good sleep. Chloe, no doubt. Thank you for hope you give me that thumbs up before you go. Everybody throw that thumbs up. No doubt. I really appreciate it. So you will find, I'll read it real quick for you guys. You will find our colleagues come from all races, backgrounds, cultures, and religions. All are welcome as long as they are open-minded, carry positive vibes, and are good-spirited, kind-hearted individuals have a noble quest to uncover the truth and restore our connection to God and the universe. You'll see on my colleagues page, I have people from all religions, all races, all colors, I think. Yeah, pretty much not all colors, but different colors and different religions and different backgrounds, different places of the world. People born in Sri Lanka, people born in the United States, Canada, the UK, all over, right? And almost all of them have different religious beliefs and are in different lines of areas of expertise, if you want to say. And a lot of them will not probably, if they were in the same room, agree with each other. Or, but to me, that's not why I consider them all colleagues. It's not like all of these people on this colleagues page that you're gonna see is on the same team that they realize, at least. But because religion tends to get in the way sometimes, I do believe everybody you're gonna see on this page, on my colleagues page, is doing good work and they are very intelligent people and they are great people to work with and to do podcasts with and to be friends with. And also, I respect their research and I think that the research that they do is helping the collective consciousness in some ways, right? Each one of these people are doing important work in different areas with different groups of people. And I think by doing that, they're helping with the overall collective consciousness in different areas of expertise, right? So there's different reasons why I think I was drawn to work with certain people as well, right? It's like I say here, it's like building a network of spiritual support all over the planet so we can help cleanse the collective consciousness, right? And my opinions and views are not necessarily the same as all of these people as well. And I think it's important for all of us as individuals to not compromise ourselves to fit in, right? To be part of the club. And nowadays it seems that people want cheerleaders instead of friends. They want people to tell them, "Oh, everything's great, everything's fine, you're doing great, you're amazing, everything's perfect." They don't want to be contested in any way or challenged in any way. Where I come from a different way of life. I came from where, like, to be good at something, you have to be challenged. You have to have obstacles put in your way, right? And nowadays people don't want any obstacles. They just want everything to just be handed to them, spur of the moment, no contesting, and everybody nowadays seems to want to be an expert without doing the footwork and having the life experience behind what it takes to get to those levels, right? And all of these people on this list not only have the life experience, but are very, very powerful people in many different ways. So we got Lori at first, Lori Bruno. You guys, there's ways you can even contact her for readings if you wanted. If you wanted to book appointments with her, I have phone numbers. She's in her mid 80s, so I'm not sure how her schedule is or how many people she can book. But if you do contact her, please tell her that you were sent by me because she will, definitely hook you up. Um, who's next on the list? We got no. There's no specific order here either. We got Maria Wheatley, who's a dowser, a researcher, and author. She does also tours at sites all over the planet, Egypt, the UK. She's even going to be doing one in 2025 with, or maybe 2026 with myself in America here. So then we got Glenn Kreisberg. He's also an author, researcher. He's also a radio engineer, and you can have different links. Oh, here's one with me on with him on my old radio show right here. These are his links that he gave me that you guys can check out some of his work and podcast. He's been on my podcast as well. And then next we got Professor Chandra Wickramansingh. You guys have known him from my show if you haven't heard of him before. And he is a doctor. He is a astronomer and astrobiologist, a mathematician. He's taught at Cambridge, and he was mentored by the late Sir Fred Hoyle, who he wrote probably like 10 books with. Right here it says in 1961 he went to Cambridge where he eventually taught at, and then he became lifelong collaboration with Sir Fred Hoyle. Some of their books include Cosmic Genetic Evolution, Diseases from Space. That was the first one that I got. A Journey with Fred Hoyle, The Search for Our Cosmic Ancestry. There's some other ones as well that I have. So, um, Cosmic Evolution. Oh yeah, that he has that Cosmic Evolution. Yeah. And then we got the Sun Yogi, Swami G, Uma Sankar. You guys have heard him on my show as well. I also now write for his newsletter, and you guys can find that. Um, I'll put the link if it's not in the bio. And I also put why you should practice Sun Yoga up there and things like that. So you guys can check out his website there. And then I got Robert Phoenix for astrology. If you guys want astrology readings, you can contact Robert and tell him that I sent you, and he'll give you a good deal. What's up? The Moroccan king's cousin. Whoa. You know Badr Hari? Badr Hari. Badr Hari. And Robert Phoenix is my the mystical spiral team's astrologer that we send people to. So if you guys want astrology readings, I usually send you guys to Robert Phoenix. Of course, I do psychic readings, crystal skull readings as well myself. But if you want specific astrology readings, not like a soul path reading, or if you want just a straight up great astrology reading, definitely go to Robert Phoenix. And that's basically it with the colleagues right there. I'm gonna add more on there as well, but that's the people that I frequently interview and have on my Space Border podcast. These are the frequent guests. I don't have too many other guests because I stopped having guests just for the hell of it, just because they were, I don't just have guests on because I want to get great views or something like that. I have guests that I've had a long correspondence with, and that we both we have similar interests that we can talk about and have an exciting show. But yeah, so you guys can find that. Oh, that's the free information website, and you also can find my store right here through that website. Goes right to my store. So we still got the 25% discount off. I got to take that away actually, because that was for my New Year's, but you guys can get it still right here. It's at 3 o'clock in the morning, so it'll be up at least till tomorrow morning. You guys can get it. I've been meaning to take it down for a few days, but give people a chance to get some more discounts. I'm gonna be putting actually I haven't put up new items in like 2 or 3 days, which is rare for me. I usually put up like a new item each day. But the last couple of days it's been really cold and my daughter wasn't feeling that well, so uh I haven't had a chance to put up any new products. But starting tomorrow morning, we're gonna be putting up new products again. I got a bunch of new crystal skulls, mini crystal skulls. We just had a beautiful custom order that's in the process of being made, and I'll show you guys the process too, and some pictures and videos. I just got permission by the person who ordered it to actually use this skull in some of our advertisements because he's having the third eye engraved, which we'll be doing on the forehead of the skull. He wants like an engraving of a third eye. Really cool. It's going to be from Himalayan quartz, rainbow quartz, and really, really high quality quartz, powerful high altitude quartz with the third eye. Really badass. And it's like over 5 pounds. So it's a nice size skull as well. Yes, I actually know Robert Temple. So you're asking me in the chat room, have I heard about Pla? It's interesting you say that because I'm not saying he copied me in any way, but I think I helped inspire some of his ideas. Uh, because I have a long correspondence with Professor Chandra Wickraman Singh, and Professor Chandra Wickraman Singh is a longtime friend of Robert Temple. So about 3 years ago, Professor Chandra recommended that I correspond with Robert Temple because we the stuff that I was sharing with Professor Chandra was right up Robert Temple's alley. And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I've read his Serious Mystery and I have various books from him." Right? So he gave me Robert Temple's information and I contacted Robert Temple and he responded. And then I started sharing some of my research with him. And then Robert would respond to me with one sentence and say, "Oh, that's interesting. Please tell me more." And my naive self, because I was a little enthusiastic to be talking to Robert Temple because I started reading his books when I was younger. And, I'm 46 now, but I probably started reading his books when I was in my 20s or late teens, early 20s. So, like, I was excited that Robert Temple was interested in my emails and my correspondence with him. And I didn't realize that he was pumping me for information, right? And and then July of last year, he comes out with the book about plasma after I just corresponded with him about it, like for like a year prior. So, and then then he didn't answer. He didn't ultimately even answer my emails when it came to coming on my podcast either. But he was answering my emails when I was sharing my research with him, and he was responding. I have proof of it. I mean, I have the receipts, and he would respond to me with one sentence like, "Oh, this is very interesting. Tell me more." And then I would tell him more, like a freaking naive, But I learned my lesson, and I've done that a few times, unfortunately, with people over the years where I shared my information with them, and they ended up using that, or at least it inspired them to go down that path of research and then develop more of ideas off of that. Right. So would he admit it? No. But why would I say that? And I'm not out there saying that in general. You just happened to ask me about him in the chat room, and and the way I answered that is yes, I've corresponded with him before. I don't know him personally. I've never met him in person, but I've had correspondence with Robert before. And Robert Temple, we're talking about in here, not Robert Phoenix. Robert Phoenix is a friend of mine, an astrologer. But Robert Temple, the author, I've had correspondence with before through Professor Chandra Wickraman. That's who gave me his contact information. And yeah, I think I inspired some ideas in the guy because all of a sudden he comes out with a book about plasma after I introduced myself to him, shared my some of my research with him, and then fast forward like 19 months and he comes out with a book about plasma. And it's I didn't get the book or anything like that, but I just found it awful coincidental. Could be a coincidence. I mean, Professor Chandra did tell me the reason why I'm connecting you with Robert Temple is because you guys have similar interests, right? You guys talk about similar topics, so maybe he was already onto it. And then I just added and confirmed some of his. So but I take it down a different path. I'm not sure. Maybe I should get his book and see what the content is before I. But I just found it very interesting that like I corresponded with him and then bang, then he comes out with a book about similar stuff. But oh well, it's not. I just shouldn't share my information like that with people. If I'm going to put it out, it should be on my own platform, not privately to other people that are writing books. But it's okay. It's going out there anyway, right? Yeah, well, I'd known about him since the 80s, or at least, I mean, the late 80s, early 90s, because I got Serious Mystery. I have um I have a lot of his books. There's Oracles of the Dead that I have, Sirius Mystery, Sphinx Mystery, the Crystal something. I forget what the other one. There's like a crystal one called Crystal something, and then think the one with the Kumean symbol in it is the Oracles of the Dead one, I think. And then you have that he wrote one about the I Ching, I think as well. There's a few of them. There's a few of them that I have of his. Not that I agree with everything in them, but some of it is very interesting. But then again, a lot of people get yeah. If you listen to my work, Hadi, in the chat room, you're just finding me. He is right. So the universe, he's not just saying that. That's what science says. So once, Robert Temple's not the one that's saying it's 99%. 99.9999% of the mass of the universe is plasma, right? It's and now I'm going to describe it in the correct way, I think. At least the way I see it telepathically and the way I see it and the way I not only have a background in ancient religions and mythologies, but I also have a background in astrophysics and plasma physics, right? So the way I can set and also geology, right? I've been doing a lot of this stuff, and I'm also a songwriter and an artist, and I draw, and so like I've been doing things like this all of my life since I can read and write. It's I've been a creator and connected to creativity and the stars in many ways, right? So my interests are my field is the fields that I work in. It ended up being that way, right? And I've had jobs throughout my life also that I hated just for money and things like that, but also my areas of work and my interests have been this way all of my life. So when you talk about space and the way even science confirms some of the stuff is starting to even confirm and catch up to some of the things that I've been saying over the years. And I'm not 100% right on things, but I can point, I think, in some areas people on the right direction. And I think a lot of the mistranslations get caught up. And you guys, when you look at plasma, how they say it's 99.99% of the mass of the universe. Usually, the universe, people think of it as mostly empty space, which is not correct. So, you have light throughout the whole universe. This is plasma. You have nebulas throughout the whole universe. That's plasma. Galaxies, suns, stars. This is all plasma. So, what you have plasma, you supernova explosions. That's all plasma, right? So, plasma is what's interconnecting everything. Solar wind is plasma, right? So it's what interconnects galaxies and nebulas. It's strings of plasma and these light funnels and cones go out and they stretch and interconnect everything. And this is the Akashic record, right? So this is why we come from most of our DNA and the atoms in our body, right, is coming or has been through the cosmos before it formed into what we are as a human, right? And why do I say this? Actually, I can prove that science is actually even catching up to what I've been saying. Here is an article right here, not even about the plasma tunnels. Here's an article about, I know I saved it right here. It just came out 14 hours ago on Live Science. And this is, I've explained it before I go to the article, right? We have supernova explosions that are accelerating light. And what's coming out of them is calcium and all these elements that make up the human body. So the atoms that end up forming who we are have no doubt before it formed who we are traveled through the cosmos, right? And and it left the Milky Way on what they call now a cosmic conveyor belt, right? Long before we became a human. And I've been talking about this for a long time, right? And look at this article that just came out on Live Science. New research suggests that most of the atoms within the human body likely spent part of their lives drifting beyond the Milky Way on a cosmic conveyor belt before eventually returning to our galaxy, right? And it says most of the atoms in your body likely spent millions of years circling the Milky Way on a cosmic conveyor belt before returning to our galaxy prior to the solar system's creation. A new study suggests most elements in the universe, except for hydrogen and helium, and a few other weird exceptions, are were forged by stars, either through so-called nuclear fusion or deep within the cores of during gigantic stellar explosions, which are also known as supernovas. These explosions also disperse the newly forged materials into interstellar space. This matter then forms giant clouds that eventually condense into new stars surrounded by other objects such as planets, moons, asteroids, comets, and in Earth's case, people. Now, you know, you guys can go look up the more of it, but what we're going to get into today is how God rides on plasma clouds, right? Creation comes on the clouds. And this is something that is going to blow your guys' minds. Once again, if you want to donate to me, I was demonetized here on YouTube. Hopefully, I'll get it back on March 18th. They didn't give me any strikes or anything like that. They just demonetized me. Um, uh, I don't really get a clear answer either. I didn't contest it. I might keep it demonetized and just so there's no ads or anything else. And if you want to donate to me, I do have a PayPal link to support my channel, to support my work, to support my book that I'm writing. All my websites that I have are self-paid. I don't have any sponsors. I don't have any affiliates. I don't uh, sell other people's products just so I can get a cut, things like that. I have my own work that I do, my own products that I make. So I don't have any affiliates or anything like that. I am my own entity. So even if you donate $1, it really helps me and my family and keep this mystical spiral team going, right? So I have the most interesting, unique work. I don't listen to other researchers out there. So it's always a unique and fresh perspective and topic. And I think you guys get well worth the bang for your buck. Even if you join Patreon, my Patreon is patreon.com/the mystical spiral. You guys can find that. All right, let me get to I want to get back to the YouTube. I think I lost it on here though. Oh, there it is. There we go. I got the chat room back. All right. Also, if people want to donate, we could do live readings here in the chat room as well. Charlotte, what's up, Charlotte Knight? It almost makes me want to sing the Silent Night song all the time I see your Charlotte Night, Holy Night. I don't know why it fits. It fits that Christmas song. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Valley Tudo headbutt that like button. So we're going to be talking about the writing on the clouds and how it's in, oh my God, is it in almost all religions, even the Holy Bible. And I will describe how the religions also are giving us some of the most advanced knowledge of the universe and some of the advanced knowledge of nature and how we are all connected to this. Yeah, and some of my own experiences that I share here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I don't talk about that happen almost on a daily basis, right? I get impressions. I think either even other so-called mediums out there, they are mistaken the impressions that they're getting as even talking to the dead, and I think it's wrong to look at it from that perspective. I even seen like somebody on a YouTube channel, I think it was on E Entertainment or something, a guy named Tyler, right? And Tyler Henry, I think his name was, a young man, right? A lot younger than I am. Um, yeah, I'm almost 50 for Christ's sakes. But he, this guy was a medium doing readings on stars, like people that are famous, so-called, right? So-called famous or whatever. Um, I don't. How did I find it? I might, oh, because Moby. I saw him with there was a clip with him doing a reading for Moby, and the way the guy does it, he's saying that he's talking to the dead ancestors of these people, and I think that is actually the wrong way. See, even though we have these, certain people have different sensitivity and they can view things differently, right? People have different abilities. Their brain and their bioenergetic system, if you want to say, to use that fancy word, is everybody's programmed a little different. And some people have different kinds of things going on in their, and who they are, right? Some people have different levels of intelligence and different levels of working things out in their brain. And in your mind, you saw me walking to the post office, or like you drove by me. You should pick me up if you drove by me. Um, so a lot of so-called psychics or mediums, they are interpreting this like they're talking to the dead. And I have been shown differently. It's not the dead that you're speaking to, mostly. It's fixed. It's impressions, right? It's impressions of the subconscious of the person that you're merging with and that you're reading, right? And sometimes these impressions come to you without reading on people as well, because we have all sorts of energies around us. It doesn't mean that the actual person that lived is like walking around and and bothering that person, right? But you're literally your mind is forming some sort of invisible cord, if you want to say, and connecting to the subconscious of somebody else. Yeah, I've talked about the Quran, and I've talked about Muslims and a lot of things having to do with plasma. So if you, I don't know if you're just finding my work now, but you should subscribe to my channel for sure because that's one of my main topics that I've been discussing. And they talk about it all throughout. The oldest is Aryan Sanskrit, which is where exactly, even though the Muslims would argue, right? You guys would argue and things and about this, but all of the all of these religions is a lot of it is derived from Hindu and before Hindu, Vedic, Sanskrit, right? So the oldest, and I'll get into this because God rides on these clouds. They're celestial clouds. A lot of them are translating them to be clouds on earth, which they can also be in some of the writings. They can also be talking about rain clouds on earth, but the clouds that bring rain in many aspects are plasma clouds and sun clouds. I mean sun gods. It's 3:33 a.m. by the way here. 3:33 a.m. shout out. And Indra is one of the oldest that's discussed this way. Yeah. Not only the Quran is fully misinterpreted, but much of the Holy Bible, much of the Holy Vedas, much of the ancient writings of the some of the near ancient Near Middle East, right? Ugaritic, Sumerian, right? All of this, and one of the oldest depictions of riding on the clouds or God or a god riding on the clouds is comes from Hindu mythology and Vedic mythology, and it's Indra, right? And then when we get into Bible, it's God rides on the cloud. We get into Hebrew, it's Yahweh rides on the cloud. We get into the Canaanites, it's Baal who rides on the cloud, right? And we're going to get into this, right? And in Hindu mythology, right? One of the most prominent gods who rides on a cloud is Indra, right? Indra not only rides on the cloud, he brings the thunderbolt from the sun, right? He brings the coronal mass ejection storm that releases the waters within Vitra. And I showed you guys before how I decoded Vitra being the magnetotail who swallows the cattle of Indra, the light of the sun, right? When you remember when I told you guys, you got to remember when you see cattle references, and I even think it goes to the holy Bible, even with certain cows and herds, even with Rachel in the Bible. She's that word is translated as little sheep. That means little rays of light in my opinion, and it's being translated when you have cattle, when you have herds, when you have shepherds tending to the cattle, it's not real cattle, it's rays of light from the sun. Remember that. And when you have a God riding on the clouds, these are clouds that are coming through the heavens. They are plasma clouds carrying many of the particles of life on these plasma clouds, right? And particles of creation traveling on the solar wind, traveling within the clouds of the heavens, right? And what's interesting is that even Indra, how he's depicted riding on, and a lot of times he's depicted on riding a horse, but when it comes to the riding on the cloud, he's depicted on riding a white elephant, right? Aryavata. Aryavata is this white elephant. Let me pull up a picture for you guys. So this is Aryavata. Aryavata is, of course, the white elephant, and you see what Indra's holding here while he rides his white elephant, who has these loops, that the rings, the beads, 108 beads that it holds, and it's in a ring and it's in a loop. Right, this has to do with the sun and the coronal loops coming from the sun. When it's depicted, and you even see the plasma cones, these bells, these stupa shapes, these structures. I told you, even in ancient Egypt, they show them. This has to do also representing the supernova explosions or some of the structures that form within the plasma to channel the light, right? I showed you how these structures form right here, and they're shown in all cultures as well. Not only are they shown in all cultures, but this is the way light accelerates. Cones form, right? They form in certain ways to accelerate their light, and it happens specifically with supernova explosions. Let me show you guys something real quick. It's over here somewhere. Hold on. Maybe it's further down. Damn, I don't know what I did with the pictures of this. Oh, here they are. So these are the supernova explosions. Here's a crab Vela pulsar and the crab nebula pulsar and the Vela. And you can see these structures form, these bell-shaped structures form within the plasma to accelerate the so-called sound of the light, to stream the light, to channel the light, to accelerate the light. Structures form within the plasma to do this, right? You can even see the light jet streaming from the middle of the bell, right? And this type of light cones even show up in lens flares coming from the sun when you're using cameras. You see the bell-shaped structures, and they're shown in deities in Egypt, right? They always have these bell, and they're depicted sometimes or translated as a celestial lotus flower or some sort of thing. And you have these structures in Hindu India as stupas, and sometimes you'll have even in Buddhist, not even in Hindu and Buddhist, you'll have Buddha sitting inside one of these stupas, right? Because this is how the light accelerates through these structures. And you'll see they're incorporated in almost all of solar kings and solar bloodline symbolism, and they have been being mistranslated over the years countless times. You'll see even when Egypt has the solar bull, the Apis bull, and that comes right from Vedic. I mean, that term Apis, right? So this is the Apis bull in Egypt. And you'll see this bell-like structure here that's depicted as a flower. This is plasma cones. These are light cones that are formed. This is all solar symbolism, everybody. So a flower just sitting there like that makes no sense as an offering, maybe, but this is a solar bull. It's called the Apis bull. Now, you'll see even the sun being held within the two horns has these giant plumes coming out of it. We even call them plumes nowadays, these coronal loops. Giant plumes coming out of this sun that it's holding, with the Birkeland currents coming out, these solar emissions that travel through the plasma waves like snakes, like dolphins of Apollo, the messengers of the sun, right? And then the golden hood of the cobra is also the coronal loop represented, right? The golden hood of the sun, and the way it travels through the waves is like a snake's, right? These can be the Birkeland currents, right? So all of this Apis as well. The term Apis in Egypt, they spell it Apis, but it's derived from Vedic, right? It means the solar waters, the celestial waters, the waters and the light waters of the celestial realms. This is what Apis is used in. So when you have the Apis bull in Egypt, it literally means the solar water bull of the heavens. Incredible. When you have bulls, this is representative of the male principles of the rays of light of the sun. A cow in Vedic translates as the rays of light, but the feminine principles of the rays of light of the sun. Right? What was the Vedic war over between the Asuras and the Devas? It was over the cows, the spotted cows, right? Which is the rays of light come from sunspots, right? They burst from sunspots, right? So you have the spotted cow who is the mother goddess, but this is the feminine. So when you have a cow, it means rays of light, but it's the feminine rays of light, the feminine aspects of the rays of light. And when you have a bull, it's the male powers, the male aspects of and principalities and characteristics of the sun, of the rays of light coming from the sun. And people need to remember that. People really need to remember that. That is really uh, valuable information there, right? So, cow is the rays of light. It's 108 beads on the mala beads. Now, that is a direct connection with the alignment of the sun, right? I've talked about this before. People know this. That 108 number is a magical number for mantras and hymns to the sun, right? And there's a reason why they do that. I mean, it's aligning your who you are with the distance and the size of the sun with Earth and aligning your energies with Earth. So when you have the number 108, right? It's the approximate ratio between the Earth's distance from the sun and the sun's diameter, right? This means basically that the distance between Earth and the sun is roughly 108 times the diameter of the sun itself, right? So when you're chanting mantras and hymns to the sun, it's literally aligning with the sun in many ways, the distance and everything, right? The average distance between Earth and the sun is 108 times the sun's diameter. And it's also the same as the moon, right? The ratio that is observed between Earth and the moon is the same thing. The distance between them is roughly 108 times the moon's diameter, right? So these lunar and solar hymns and meditations to the sun and moon, they're done these 108 times to align yourself with them, right? To literally align with the energies and the size and the distance of these celestial beings, right? Now, when it comes to riding on clouds, Hindu has Indra on the white elephant riding on the cloud. This is the Aryavata, the white elephant. And his epithet, right, is Megavanata or Megavahana, right? Indra's, and this literally translates to cloud mounted, which is straight connected to the Bible, right? Where God is mounted on the cloud, right? And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that pretty deep, right? Because that's pretty incredible, right? When you could find that direct correlation. And Aryavat is Indra's mount. He's the elephant. He's the white elephant. And a lot of scholars translate that him riding on that white elephant, and that white elephant is representing a cloud now. I'm saying that it's not a cloud, a rain cloud like they're saying. First of all, rain cloud isn't white. It's dark, right? So a lot of scholars translate Indra riding on the white elephant. The white elephant's a cloud because it brings rain and it's a rain cloud, right? And I I think they got the cloud part right, the translation of it. But it's a cloud of the heavens. And it's interesting that they use the white because most plasma clouds in space are too diffuse to be seen directly by the naked eye. You have to use telescopes, advanced telescopes. And did they have these in ancient times? I would say yes, right? Why don't we have any left over from ancient times? Because they're disintegrated. All we have left is the structures and the stone temples and buildings and structure the stone structures that housed them, right? Our most advanced telescopes today, we just leave them there. We all, right? And after 3,000 years, they'll be nothing. They'll be dust in the wind, right? All that will be left is the stone building, if it was made from stone, that housed it. So we have ancient observatories here. We don't have the telescopes that were in them because the materials that were most likely made from are no longer, they're it's or whatever it was made from is rubble, right? But yes, I think they had telescopes in the past as well. Now, most plasma clouds in space have to be captured with telescopes, and the image, even though the colors are different, they often process results in a white appearance. Like, even look at our sun. Because of the brightness, our sun is literally multicolored. It's all colors blasting out. But because of everything and how we see it, it's depicted as white to us, right? Or sometimes because of the filter, it's yellow, but it's not the true color. Now, most plasma clouds are depicted as white, and that is why he rides that white cloud that's depicted as an elephant, carrying his Vajra bolt, right? The thunderbolt of the sun, the thunderbolt of Indra. And yes, we can get more into Indra, but let's talk about now how Indra is directly related to the Holy Bible and the Messiah and God, right? That God rides on clouds. And you have this right, I mean, it's all over Hebrew and even in the Bible, right? So the idea that even could be even Jesus in or other messiahs in Hebrew. It's not Jesus, it's the Messiah ben Yosef and different things. But we'll get into this, right? So the idea that a messiah or the son of man as well would come with the clouds of heaven comes in the Bible. It's biblical, right? It appears in the second part of the book of Daniel, and which was written in, I guess, around 160 165 BC. And this concept is also elaborated if you go into the fourth book of Ezra, also is known as the second book of Esdras, which is an apocryphal text that was written, right when the destruction of the Jerusalem by the Romans, right? So this was in about 70 AD. And in the Babylonian Talmud, which is 500 AD, there's Rabbi Naaman or Naaman, Rabbi, I think Rabbi Naaman ascribes to the Messiah as the name Bar Nifal, right? Which is also means just like son of the clouds, right? And there's a passage in the Targum of Hebrew writings. The Messiah is called Anani, and that translates to he is of the cloud, right? The Midrash fragment in Hebrew, he's described as riding on the cloud. And in Deuteronomy, right? So you guys can recall the biblical description of God riding upon the heaven in Deuteronomy 33:26, right? Riding upon a swift cloud in Isaiah 19:1, right? And in Psalms 68, 534, he's riding upon the skies and riding upon the heavens of heavens. Check that description out. In Psalm 68, 5, line 34, riding upon the skies and riding upon the heavens of heavens. And then you have in Psalms 18:11, rode upon a cherub. They're talking in aspect to God now. Rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yeah, he did swoop down upon the wings of the wind. Now we're talking about the solar wind, the stellar winds we're talking about. God came from the heavens on a cherub. These cherubim, like I've said before, with their golden wings, represent the wings of the sun. Like in all cultures, not all cultures, but in a lot of the ancient cultures of the ancient Near East, ancient Egypt, even in Mesoamerica, they depict the sun with wings, right? This is very interesting because this is representing, in my opinion, the powers of the solar wind, right? And how God travels on the solar wind with information, and he travels through the stars, through the sun, right? Through the wings of the wind. The wings of the wind is where we get the information from, where all the particles are coming from, right? And very, very incredible. And it's well known in Hebrew, right? And beginning with fourth Ezra, there's a lot of you know, a lot of divine cosmic messages that's coming with that. He rides on a cloud, or he's the son of a cloud, right? I'll read Ezra 4. It could also be interpreted as Ezra 2 with it's apocryphal, but I mean it's elaborated from other biblical verses, right? So this is from Ezra 4. And it came to pass after 7 days that I dreamed a dream by night. Now remember, this is when the sun the sun falls, and the magnetic shield, the magnetotel, stretches out, and our magnetosphere is literally swallowing light from the sun, and information is coming into the planet, and we get auroras and all of that stuff as a result, right? So at nighttime, it's very interesting. The stellar winds, the solar wind does magical things, and it's talked about in all cultures and misinterpreted, right? So this is what the time that they're talking about. They're talking about night, and then as soon as the night falls, they're talking about the wind, right? This is stellar solar winds, and it's being misinterpreted. So it came to pass after 7 days that I dreamed a dream by night, and I beheld, and lo, there arose a violent wind from the sea. Now we're talking about the cosmic sea. It's being mistranslated, my people, right? All right, I'll read it through and then I'll go back so I don't constantly interrupt it because it's like two paragraphs. And it's Ezra 4:13, 1 through 9, and then Ezra 25, 20. It's Ezra 4:13. It's right. The book, fourth book of Ezra, verse 13, lines 1 through 9, then lines 25 through 26, and 35 through 36. I'm going to read. It's all from Ezra 13, though. And it's in book 4, verse 13. And then in verse 13, I'm going to do lines 1 through 9, and then lines 25 and 26, and lines 35 and 36. Those are the real significant ones that are talking about the cosmic winds, fire from the sun, and it's being mistranslated, and it coming from the cosmic sea. And it came to pass after 7 days that I had dreamed a dream by night. And behold, and lo, there arose a violent wind from the sea, and stirred all its waves. And the wind caused the likeness of a form of a man to come out of the heart of the seas. And this man flew with the clouds of heaven. It's telling you the context right there. And whenever, all right, I won't interrupt no more. And wherever he turned his countenance to look, everything seemed by him trembled. And whithersoever the voice went out of his mouth, and all that heard his voice melted away, as the wax melts when it feels the fire. And after this I beheld that there was gathered from the four winds of heaven an innumerable multitude of men to make war against the man who came up out of the sea. And I saw that he cut out for himself a great mountain and flew upon it. And when he saw the assault of the multitude as they came, he neither lifted his hand nor held spear nor any warlike weapon. But I saw only how he sent out his mouth as it were a fiery stream, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he shot forth the storm of sparks. And these fell upon the assault of the multitude, and burned them all up. These are the interpretations of the vision Whereas you did see a man coming up from the heart of the sea. This is he whom he most high is keeping many ages, and through him he will deliver his creation, and the same shall order the survivors. But he shall stand upon the summit of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be made manifest to all man, prepared and built, even as you did the mountains cut out without hands. But he, my son, shall reprove the nations that are come for their ungodliness. Right? So we have right at the top, and this man flew with the clouds of heaven. Right? So we're telling you the context right here. They're telling you, right? Right here. I dreamed a dream by night, and beheld, there was a violent wind from the sea, and it stirred all its waves. So right now, people are thinking, oh, it's the sea. It's waves within the sea on earth. And then they're saying the wind caused the likeness of a form of man to come out of the heart of the seas, right? So this man just came out of the heart of the seas. He formed out of the wind and came out of the heart of the seas. And then the next sentence is, and this man flew with the clouds of heaven. Didn't say he flew with the clouds of earth. Now, some people might say, well, when we look up at the clouds, those are the heavens up here on earth. You know, these clouds that are above us right here, that I'm seeing right here outside my window. Those are the heavens. Uh-uh. That's not true. It's the four winds of the heaven. These are celestial winds. And that's a big mistake that a lot of translators make, a lot of professionals make. Now, you can see the other context within this, right? When they say that this so-called man was formed out of the wind and he's flying in the clouds of heaven, when it was time for him to wield his weapon, it was not like any weapon of any man. It was a fiery stream that was sent out from the mouth, right? It was a storm of sparks. It was a solar storm. I mean, that is incredible. Makes sense why they would try to cut that out of the Bible and make it apocryphal. That is really incredible, right? And then we also have the bird's nest that they talk about in some Kabbalistic writings that we'll get into, right? Very interesting. Anybody else in the chat room still? It's too early in the morning for everybody. It's 4:01 a.m. here. AI. Well, brother, that's a whole nother topic. You know, AI, there's two different, you can look at AI as a creation of man, but you can look at AI more likely as a creation of angelic intelligences. So I would say yes. I would say that technology was given to us for a distraction by negative stellar winds. It was brought here because we're being evolved according to our own vibration. So the thoughts, the prayers, the energies that we send out is being absorbed by the stellar entities, and they're channeling the appropriate light to our planet to evolve us accordingly. So if we have a greedy, materialistic vibe pulsating out of the collective of planet Earth, we're going to get streamed down the light of different characteristics and personalities of different stellar winds out there that are coming from all different stars and suns that have all different personalities and characteristics and alignments going on, right? So when these all these stars and sun are interconnected through plasma cones, through plasma light, through strings of plasma, right? It's an interconnected sea, right? It forms a confluence of one big celestial ocean. When you have all of these solar, stellar, plasma rivers that are running, each sun and star is a river of plasma flowing, and it forms a confluence of one big celestial ocean that's described in all ancient mythologies, all religions. I mean, shit, even right down to you got to pay the ferryman a quarter to cross over the river Styx, right? The plasma river Styx, right? Traveling in your little solar barge, your little stellar boat, right? All of that has to do with plasma symbology. All right. Even when you have the menorah, right? The candelabras, that's plasma symbology as well. Right. That's a whole nother topic. You can look into some of the work of Anthony Peratt. Uh, he's a astrophysicist, and some of the experiments that he's done, even some of the experiments that David Lapointe did with uh, his simulations of light. I could show you the pictures. So Anthony Peratt's, you know what? This is not going to be a good enough picture. But you guys can, I'll pull it up on the computer, not in the book, showing you right here. But then there's also David Lapointe's experiment that he did. I'll show you guys. I don't know if I have pictures on that on the. We'll save that for another show. But you guys can see Anthony Peratt and symbolism. This let me share screen for you guys real quick. This was the symbol that I'm talking. This also links to the menorah as well. And you see these cups, cones, bell structures that form. These are structures that typically form within plasma, right? And this is representing stellar winds, the acceleration of stellar winds, and the structures that form within them. And he got this right from an experiment that he did, Anthony Peratt. And David Lapointe as well did interesting experiment. Uh, show you guys the primer fields right here. So this is David Lapointe's primer fields experiments, and you can see those bell-like structures that I told you about forms within the plasma experiments right in his lab, right? And he calls them primer fields. Now, the theory behind this by some researchers are out there and not accepted within mainstream astrophysics. But this experiment is, to me, is so underrated, is incredible, and so basic that anybody really can do. And it's incredible right here. And these are the structures that I've been automatic writing and have been coming to me for many, many years, and I have the receipts to prove it, right? I've been showing this in my drawings and in my sketches and in my writings many, many ways. I've been showing it, and in my opinion, this is a lot of the symbolism in the occult when it has to do with cups and chalices and chalices holding the light of the heavens, right? cups and stupas and bell shapes. It has to do with the light of the god and all of this. Uh, even even the Holy Grail, I feel is being misinterpreted. It was never originally a cup. It was a cup of light. It was a cup of light from the heavens. Hallelujah and amen. Because the golden boy is right again. That's right. I don't normally toot my own horn, but I'm telling you guys, believe me when I say some of these things that they're being mistranslated in the wrong way. And I have been shown this, right? I have been shown this. You can say by God, by the universe, by whoever you want to label it as. I've had an incredible experience the other night where I was surrounded by translucent beings on my front lawn while I was holding a crystal skull at friggin' 4 o'clock in the morning in freezing, way below freezing weather. I was impelled to go out there, and when I realized at the end, the star that I was, the very bright star that I was looking at that time, ended up being Arcturus. And in the Boots constellation, which just happened to be where the meteor showers were at that night as well, because I had seen a meteor streak across the sky like a fire, a shooting star. So I was transfixed on that area. There was one big bright star, which is uh, coincidentally, it's the Arcturus is the brightest star in the northern part of the hemisphere. I mean, Sirius is the brightest star overall in the sky, but in the northern hemisphere, I'm pretty sure it's Arcturus. I think Arcturus is like the fourth or fifth or third, maybe not third, but it's like up there in the top five or at least in the top 10 of brightest stars in the whole sky. But I think it's the brightest star, if I'm not mistaken, in the northern hemisphere. So it was like this really bright star that I didn't even realize it was Arcturus until I went and got my phone and lined it up. I'm like, oh yeah, that is Arcturus. All right, so um, very powerful Arcturian codes from sixth density and beyond were coming the other night. And I wrote this down. I wrote down the time, and I don't know how many of these translucent beings were around me, and I didn't notice them at first. And then as soon as I got a chance to look, they were gone. Um, but it felt like it was family around me. It felt like it was part of me in a higher plane and my homies. And it was pretty crazy because I just had an urge. It was a very, very clear night, but very cold. And I had the urge to go outside with my crystal skull. I have a lot of crystal skulls, but it was a crescent moon. It was very clear out. I wanted to take my crystal skull outside and work with it for a few minutes. And I went out to the middle of the front lawn. And now we're directly in line with a Catholic retreat center and a 60-foot Virgin Mary, a Madonna, who's holding a giant. You guys have seen me do videos at it. It's right in line with on a 45-degree angle with my driveway, but it's up a hill. Like if we come out on my driveway and look up the hill, it's and then in it's you can see right now you can see it because there's no leaves on the trees. In the summer you can't really see it, but now you can see it, and at night they have it lit up. And I've done videos, you guys can see it. Like, so I was like in line with that Virgin Mary statue too, which is another weird coincidence. And it's 60 foot it's more than 60 feet in the air. It's huge. And I was staring up at the stars, holding my friggin' skull, staring up at Arcturus. And the next thing I knew, my Herkimer diamond necklace I was wearing. I wasn't wearing I wasn't wearing the second one. I was just wearing this Herkimer diamond one right here. And I felt it hopping off of my chest, bang, because I was holding my crystal skull up and looking up at the stars, right? And I was transfixed pretty much on the star for a while because I was trying to see another meteor shower, right? Because usually they'll come in the same area, right? So I was looking up there for like a couple of minutes straight. Like my neck was starting to get a little tired, right? So I was looking up and then I felt my this thing hopping off my neck. And this is a big Herkimer diamond here, so it's weighty. So I felt it like it was hitting off of my coat. Boom, boom. I had like a coat on and I heard it. It was hitting off of my coat. So when I looked down, I noticed it was like kind of vibrating and bouncing off, right? And then when I looked down on it, I looked up kind of around me, and around me I could just barely make them out, right? Just barely make them out. And they looked about 6 feet tall. They seemed like they were all the same height, but I couldn't tell. But they looked like they were a little bit taller than me. I'm like 5'8", 5'9". So they looked like they were a little taller than me. So maybe like 6 foot. And they weren't like I I didn't get a good look. I just got a glance. So it seemed like there was more than 10 of them because they were around me in a circle and they weren't like touching each other, but they were like a body length apart from each other, but they were all around me in a pretty big circle on my lawn, right? And there was like a there was just like remember I said there was like a bouncing off my chest. Well, then there was like a kind of light glow that came. I don't know if it was the crystal or not for a moment, but I had looked back down at it and then I looked back up and they were gone. I didn't get a chance to get any good detail, but it seemed that they were see-through, like translucent. Like you could see the outline of them glowing, very luminous outline, but it also seemed like they had certain stuff going on within the body. It wasn't just clear. Right? So I don't know if it was some kind of advanced suit that made it look like that way, but it seemed like it was a higher density being that in this reality, that's the kind of matter that was produced, like this light kind of manifestation. Very, they weren't as dense as me. It felt like it was me, my like people, me and my loved ones or my homies in a higher density coming down to be part of a moment. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. Hopefully it does. I've been smoking too much. Well, I don't think I've been smoking enough. How's that answer? Carlos Delfino. Carlos Delfino. I think we should take a smoke break now for that. Just because somebody doesn't, I'd also like to say this, just because some of you aren't open to these experiences of your own, I wouldn't mock the experiences of others, right? So you guys are into me reading about stories from the Bible, stories from, what do you think all these people were talking about? Very similar things as me, right? I think we should take a smoke break. What do you guys think? Hit it up. It's 4:17 a.m. right here. So we're gonna do a 4:20. What? Let me get some music going. Bong, 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 bong. I don't know if you guys can be able to hear the music, but usually the music gets cut off. So glad Johnny's here. Yeah, Johnny, we just had that custom order come in. The guy wants a third eye on the skull, an engraving third eye on the Himalayan quartz. Well, no, you were technically mocking. Maybe you're just making a joke, or maybe you're stating your truth. You think that experience was just the result of me smoking too much bud, smoking too much weed. You're thinking that's the only reason why I had that experience. That's what I'm curious. Because if you were being serious with that statement, I would have to disagree. Because I hadn't even smoked really that night. I had just like woke up. I was sleeping and I had woken up and I had an urge to go outside. So I hadn't even smoked yet. And if anything, I would say that sometimes it doesn't matter. I hear you. You're just trying to be a little bit of a wise ass. I don't know if you if thank you for admitting that at least. Thank you for admitting it. But it's I think people try to do that because they don't want to believe or they get a little upset that other people have these experiences when in fact it was more frustrating for me. I'd rather have not had that experience that night because I really didn't have any answers about it. I have a feeling about what happened. No, what do you mean plasma etymology? No, I do all my dude. Most of my research I do is through books and through my own, my own self. So like, I'm not like that stuff I type in on the internet is just here for you guys. Like, usually if you go to my Patreon, I put all my book recommendations and stuff, and I got a whole library of. This is just a few books here for my radio show that I bring. But I have all sorts of bookshelves and stacks of books and libraries of research from for so dude, I ran inside. So check this out. You can even ask my friends that I told the story. So so the whole story behind what happened that night is I was standing there with my skull, right? And I felt that thing hitting off my chest. I looked back down. And then I looked up and I saw them around me. And then I looked down back at my chest. And then I look up and they were gone, right? And I was like, shit. And I ran inside really fast. And I I called one of my buddies and I was like, bro, what the hell? I got a little I did get a little bit. And the thing is, I had to go to bathroom really bad after that. So I literally did shit myself, dude. I had to run inside and use the bathroom. So it's funny you said that. Um Really funny you said that. You're a little psychic. Sometimes when people are using their humor and stuff, they let out some real stuff, right? Because a lot of times when you thinking on the fly, you're actually having psychic impressions. When you just come up with stuff, bong, 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 and you don't use your thoughts, that's how psychic impressions come. You got to realize that, right? So a lot of times when we think, our own psyche messes things up. It messes the connection we have up. So if we just go with the flow and you get into the matrix, like I don't know if you guys have ever, I've experienced this in various ways. So there's anybody that's doing their craft really well can get into that flow state, into that matrix state. I've experienced it in, yeah, I missed the 420 now. We'll get it. We'll get it. We'll do another in a minute. We'll do it. It's all right. We don't need to focus on timestamps. It's a good time area. I've been in that flow state in in a few different areas in my life, right? I've got there in Muay Thai a few times, once or twice in Muay Thai, where I was literally in the moment and not thinking. Everything was just working and I was just like flowing. Time just disappears and you're throwing combos and just flowing and everything is just flowing where you just feel unstoppable. Nothing can touch you and you're just flowing in that flow state. I've gotten there like once or twice through athleticism, I would say. Maybe once or twice in soccer too when I was younger. But I've gotten there frequently in songwriting, drawing, different things like that, right? Where, you're sort of like in the moment, in the flow state of things, where things just, they're coming to you on the fly, where you don't even know, you're not thinking about it, right? But if you start to think too long, you do mess it up. Your own psyche messes it up. right? So that's that flow state that I'm talking about, getting into the matrix. And you can see certain people do it, like if you watch like combat sports, some people do it in all different ways. All right, we'll take a 2 minute break real quick. Guys, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear. This is the 420 break for everybody out there. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear. Oh, maybe I could pull up is there music that I could pull up on here that's not copyrighted? I don't know. I think you guys won't hear this if I put this on, right? Let me see if you guys hear this. I think it cuts it. The mic won't play it. Right? You guys can't hear that, right? Let me know if you guys can hear that. This is for Carlos. Can you guys hear any music right now or no? This smoke break is dedicated to Carlos Delfino. I'm gonna smoke too much right now. Yeah, you guys can't hear it. Maybe if I turn off the second mic. I mean, the advantage, I just used the mic from the laptop. Let me see. Maybe you guys can hear it now. Can't hear it now either. I don't know why it doesn't play it. It should play it just like it plays my voice, but I do have on music in the background right now. Oh well, I don't know why it's not coming through. It's like this song's gonna burn like a motherfucker. You guys never heard that either. Hold on, maybe I could put my YouTube studio on, my YouTube music on. I think it's gonna work. I don't know why. Let me see if this works. Hold on. Can you hear it now? Any luck now? I was just playing around, but I can really sing. See, I would play my guitar and sing here live, but it doesn't record it on the microphone. Like I have the Yeti microphone here, but for some reason it doesn't pick up music in the background. Yeah, I don't know why. And even if I play it off my phone, like right now, it's not playing music. And I tried all different mics. I'm trying to mic on my laptop right now. I tried the camera mic and I tried the Yeti mic. Can't believe you guys can't hear that. Pretty loud, actually. You may change back the microphone to a real good one then. Well, you guys can hear me play on. I have songs up on YouTube. Wait, hold on, let me fix this. I have songs up on YouTube of my playing. You guys can check that out. See, look, even if I put like the phone right into it, you guys can't hear it, right? You can't even, and this is playing loud. Once again, you guys can donate at PayPal. The link is up at the top of the chat room. Maybe I can grab it for you guys. Yeah, there's some, but what it's doing it on all my mics though. It does it on the laptop one, the camera one, and the Yeti mic, the Blue Yeti that I have. So all three is doing it. Because one thing if the mic had that thing on it, because then I would change the setting. But it's on all three. It's doing it with. I always wondered why that. Because one day I was trying to play my acoustic on here too, and it didn't even come up. You guys know about this? All right, we'll be back in 1 minute. Yeah, I've done some live jams on here. If I do the show with my phone, then I can record it. You know, I've done when I do live shows with my phone, then I could do the music. I write music right on the spot, live freestyles. I used to be a street musician, so I'm used to it. Here we go, y'all. My buddy wanted some. Might as well shut the music off because you know. Shut the music off because you guys can't hear it anyway. Oh man, we are back here, Space Water Podcast in full effect, live here on YouTube. Just found my Song Vault playlist, no doubt. Yeah, I have my playlist up here. I got me playing there. I haven't recorded myself in a while on there, but yeah, the streaming software. That's a good quote. That's a good point. One hot minute. Cheers, cheers, no doubt. Cheers, cheers. Yeah, that's a good point. You know what's a cool book too that I just pulled out of my old box of books? Did I bring it down here? Yes. I ended up talking about it with one of my friends the other day on the phone. My friend Dave. But oh yeah, shout out to my friend Frank Castle. Frank Castle. I don't know if you're listening, you're probably sleeping. Shout out for Frank Castle. He just appeared on Typical Skeptic podcast with my other friend Rob. Shout out to Frank. Frank's a personal friend of mine. He lives over here in the Bronx, not too far from me, about 30 minutes from me. So I've been to his house many times. I don't know why his ass hasn't drove up here to see me yet. I mean, I brought my daughter and my wife there. I had to change diapers in his bathroom when my daughter was little, but his ass hasn't drove up here yet. He better come visit soon, brother, and bring the buds. This book right here. This is a really cool book, and check out the pattern on the front. It's like a radionics board. Really cool. See that? And this was from the 1970s by John C. Lilly, The Center of the Cyclone by Julian Press. This is the original book too. The original one. This is from, it's falling apart a little bit, but kind of falling apart a little bit. It's kind of old. But this one is from 19 oh wait 1972, copyright 1972. And then I think I have one from the 60s from him too. I got a couple of books by John Lilly. Yeah, this is another one. The communication of between man and dolphin. John Lilly. This guy invented the sensory deprivation tank. And I had his books way before Joe Rogan knew what the hell a sensory deprivation tank was. But if you guys ever played Nintendo when in the late 80s, they had a game called Echo the Dolphin that came right from John Lilly. I mean, John Lilly didn't make the game, but they they were inspired by John Lilly for sure. John Lilly was a man that worked with dolphins, and his sensory deprivation tank he called Echo. So definitely was a shout out to John Lilly by naming that game Echo the Dolphin. And the center of the cyclone talks about his journeys in inner space, by using you know, sensory deprivation tanks and LSD and various things to open up your mind. I think ultimately the the drug aspect was his downfall because he liked to use mind altering substances to help catapult him to the other realms, right? The other planes of reality. And that's not necessarily the best way to do it. You shouldn't have to poison your system with other chemicals, especially some of them are fungi and factory chemicals and things like that that are made like LSD and is like chemicals. A lot of it's chemicals, and it is chemicals, and mushrooms is a fungi, right? So I've used them before, but I haven't in a very long time. The last time I've used any type of psychedelic was ayahuasca, and that was in 2002, 2001. And I don't feel the need to. I think if I ever did it, a psychedelic again, it would be like a DMT or, well, I lied. It wasn't 2001. I did try DMT like 7 years, 8 years ago. 8 years ago. I smoked like it was like a 10-minute thing. I smoked DMT, but that was beside before that it was in 2002 and then in the 1990s and early 2000s I did a lot of acid and a lot of mushrooms, but I never really liked the acid all that much. The mushrooms I've had a couple of really good experiences on. Um, a couple of times I overdid it, but uh, we shouldn't have to use those substances to catapult us. Because a lot of times our psyche and our ego and our traumas and our all sorts of things, they just seep in and they take control over sometimes the and getting rid of all of that crap tends to be you know the whole explosion going on. So it depends the reason why you're doing it, right? Some people want to do it because they want to enjoy their Friday night and have a good time. And then they do it and then they don't realize that now they're going to have to deal with all of past traumas that are going to pop up, and all the monsters that you've had on your back might appear for you to handle them and deal with them. But some people might not be ready for that at that moment. And it doesn't matter if you're ready for that because you're going to get catapulted right through it. So some people can have bad experiences on them because they're not ready to deal with the repercussions of some of their actions. They're not ready to see it, right? Some of the things that they've been running from. So I don't always recommend that. I always recommend somebody to try to do things naturally, right? Smoking weed is not something, it's more of a medical thing for me, at least. It's not something that catapults you to other dimensions or gets you to a certain thing. I was at a high level in kickboxing and Muay Thai and also in soccer and throughout my whole life. So and I have a little bit of arthritis. So I have like really hard, bad joints, my ankles, my knees. I've had ACL issues. I've broken my feet and my ankles before. I've broken my wrists before. Right. And, it's to me, it's for medicinal purposes mostly. And my neck, anybody that did like wrestling like I did and also did Muay Thai clinching and a lot of the things that I did, you get neck issues, you get knee issues, ankle issues, things like that. So it to me that's more, but when it comes to DMT and ayahuasca and some people, I wouldn't recommend people to be doing that on a regular basis. I really wouldn't. It's not meant for that type. It's not, first of all, it's not even meant for our culture at all. All right. If you talk to a Peruvian ayahuasca shaman, he would laugh at us saying that we're doing it on weekends here in America, right? Because it's not meant for people that are around computers. It's not meant for people that are around TV. It's not meant for people that are around uh a lot of sex and violence and a lot of the foods that we eat, a lot of the like like pornographic culture and the diets that we all eat and all. It's not meant for any of that. And our whole lives are bombarded with that. And then when you do ayahuasca, all of that needs to be purged before you can experience the true benefits of the potion, right? So your purging experience might be way more intense than what you were prepared for. And, you know, sometimes it's people that have this kind of culture in us, they if they do it on a regular basis, they're gonna feel sick a majority of the year. And their mind, because they don't ever want to think it's the drug they're taking. That's the problem. They'll put it as, oh, these negative forces are getting to me, or it's retrograde, or it's this or that. But it's the poison you're drinking. That's the problem. Or the mushrooms you're taking, or fungus you're taking, or you're not it's not meant for it's meant once or twice a year, maybe. Solstice, equinox. But on a random Tuesday or on every weekends, it's not really meant for that. It's not meant to be using like you're using, you know, weed or something, right? So people need to remind themselves of that. You know, people need to know that. I think windmills, yeah, yeah. You're 45. Yeah, I'm only a little older than you. I'm born 1978. I'll be 47 this year. Yeah, I went through, pretty high level athletics because I played soccer and wrestling, baseball. Well, baseball, I mean, I broke my wrist one time in baseball, a brutal way. Oh my God, man. What they had to do. I think I gained a little respect from my dad and my brother that day because I took incredible pain when they had to reset my arm and I wasn't even medicated in any way. Oh my God. So I was a pretty good second baseman. I had made like the all-star teams and shit like that, 10 and 11 tournament team they had here. And so when I was playing second base, and you know how you have to straddle the base if somebody's stealing second base. So I literally was straddling the base, waiting for the catcher to throw me it, and the guy was stealing second. The guy was coming from first base, so I was straddling second base from the shortstop side, looking at first base, right? So he was like literally sliding into my glove the way I was positioned. So when I bent down to apply the tag, his feet were coming right into it, and his feet, as I was bringing my glove down to tag him out, his cleats came and caught the end of my glove, and he was running at full speed. So I put down my wrist to tag him out, and his cleats and him sliding into second base just clipped the end of my glove, and it pushed back my hand and caved in my wrist, and this popped out, like this part caved in my wrist, and this popped out, and they had to reset the wrist. They had to break it back in place, and the way they did it, I mean, we're talking about 1989, 1990, right? The way they did it is they had my arm in an L shaped, like in a Freddy Krueger glove. They had my hand in this springy glove thing that looked like a Freddy Krueger glove. They had my hand in that. And then they had weights on my elbow, and they cracked this back in place. They literally had me like this. My brother was holding my hand, one of my hands, and my dad was holding my chest down. And I was laying there, and they had my arm in an L shaped like this, and they had the weights on the elbow and my hand in that springy, like Freddy Krueger glove, and they just snapped it. And he, the first time, he didn't get it all the way. He had to do it twice, and he was like, "All right, you ready?" I'm just like, "All right, just count to three and go." He was like, "All right, 1 through 3." I'm like, "Just do it," and he just snapped in. I'm like, "Ah!" I was screaming like that. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. I screamed so loud during it that I really didn't feel it. I was like, I got adrenaline. It was like I was getting ready to fight. It was like someone was about to cut off my arm or something. That's the way I took it, you know? And I've had a few things happen to me, like where I had to take it like raw dog like that. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Like, dude, when that caved in my wrist like that, when I came up from it, it was just dangling like this. It was just it was like it was severed. It was just dangling there. I was like, oh, and my dad was my coach at the time. I'm like, Dad, like I didn't know what to do. Like it was crazy. It was crazy. It was nuts. Yeah. I got the guy out too. The thing was still in my glove, the ball. So I had tagged him out. It was just that like his speed and he slid in with his feet up. Like he was like sometimes people slide on the side and they come in with their foot on an angle on the side, but he came in sliding like face forward at me. Like, and his foot was like straight up and down coming out like it was like a weird thing. Because I've done that play many times where I tagged on the side of his foot, right? But this just happened the way it happened, it just came right into it. And oh, I just thinking about it gives me goosebumps now. Cringe. I can't remember a lot of my childhood, but I remember things like that. Shit, you know, that was pretty incredible. I don't know how I went from center of the cyclone to that story, but that's what happens. Too much too much smoking, huh, Carlos? There you go. I think you're right. No, we're just riffing. But yeah, from baseball, that was the only time I really got injured in baseball. But then I did years of soccer and soccer running around. I took a lot of, they don't think soccer is a rough sport. Well, it is a rough sport, especially the way if you're playing it at a pretty high level. And for the ages that I played it at, I played it at the highest level. So like as a young man, I played not only school soccer, but I played the travel soccer, they call it in my area, where each each year they have a travel soccer team and they pick the best kids in the town and county to be on these teams. And you have to try out for the team. It's expensive to be on the team. And also I played like the Sunday morning rec league that everybody can join too. I played those as well. But usually they go to those, the scouts go to those, and the people that are good at those, they ask if they want to come try out for the travel team. So I played at the highest levels for my age and my area, and we traveled all around New York State and the tri-state area and played other good team, like champion teams. And there was we didn't win the state championships, but the year above us, the 1977 North Rockland Rangers, they won the travel soccer state champions for a few years in a row during the years that I was there. Like, I played with like some of those kids were my neighbors and shit. So like we were the North Rockland Sting, 1978 North Rockland Sting. And we weren't champions, but we did pretty well. Like we were, the only we lost to Bayside Queens and a couple other couple other really good. When we played Bayside Queens, they were really good. And I don't believe those kids were our age either. Some of those were Filipino immigrants, and I don't think they were even our age. It was crazy. But yeah, we played. That's how I got really hurt playing that soccer when I got kicked in the ball so hard that I had to have an operation. Because the black tissue had formed. I had a near death experience from all that. Right, that all happened to me playing soccer. I never even got that hurt. I mean, I've gotten concussions in Muay Thai, and I I broke my ankle and shit like that, but playing soccer was the roughest, man. I mean, because I was a sweeper and I was a defensive guy, and I also played center forward sometimes too. So I was like slide tackling and headbutting and freaking going nuts like for an hour and a half straight, 45 minutes a half. It's a very rough, and there's a lot of head jostling around. So you guys don't even realize if you just take your head and swing it from side to side really fast, you can give yourself a concussion. You don't even have to have an impact, right? You could just go like this. You can literally be headbanging at a concert all night and do brain damage to yourself. Our brain is just sitting in water. You realize that? And then if your brain gets thrown around, it gets sloshed back. It hits the back of your brain and it shuts off, right? There's nerves and shit back there, right? So our brain is not designed to be jostled around like that. So when you see a soccer player jumping up in the air and swinging his head to hit that ball, and sometimes that ball's being kicked very hard and fast, that shit that's brain damage, especially over, even if you're just taking the ball and juggling it, bong, 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 over and over again, like I used to do all the time in soccer practice, warming up. That is slow brain damage. You're not supposed to have that kind of impacts over and all or and I'm not I'm not making this up. There's look up the scientific, thing. It's not our brain's not meant to get hit, right? That's not even any kind of medical information. That's just truth, you know? So it's not. But it was, yeah, it was just it's definitely just a part of it's soccer, it's drilling it too is a part of soccer. Like drilling, we used to drill, um, like someone taking the corner kick and kicking over in front of the net and us coming and trying to headbutt it in. We would drill that. And then sometimes you'd be clashing heads with the defensive men trying to go for it and stuff. It's crazy. I've gotten a lot of concussions in soccer, and most of them were never even diagnosed. I never even got treatment for. I went to see the doctor for. Right? There's a couple of games where I was going so hard and I hit my head during the game, where as soon as the game was over, I started crying, threw up, and couldn't hold, like I threw up and started crying and got like so emotional. I didn't even know what was going on. And my mother's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "It just felt like I went through a war. I don't know. It was like traumatic." Like I can think of a couple of times, and it's happened to me in competing in Muay Thai too, and kickboxing, where literally at the end of it, I like threw up and then got emotional and started crying. It was weird. I couldn't even control it. It just came out. It just came out. And it wasn't like sad tears. It was just like a burst of emotion came out. It's happened to me a couple of times, and it usually just through that high physical challenge where you're pushing yourself and you feel like your life's on the line. You know, that's happened to me definitely in combat sports. That's happened to me where at the end of the competition, I threw up and had a burst of emotion where I just started hysterical crying. Like I couldn't control it. You couldn't even talk for like a few minutes. 4:57 a.m. here. It's 5 o'clock a.m. Guys, don't forget to go to the Mystical Spiral store. No doubt. We were talking about riding on the clouds too. We got into some interesting stuff before. I'm going to continue this podcast um about Indra and all of that in the future. Yeah, I mean, I'm reading the chat room, so I'm catching up. Shout out to I'll read some of your guys' comments too for you guys. I'll give you guys some shout outs and read some of your comments here. So let me first shout you guys out. We got Johnny, my buddy Johnny. We got Carlos Delfino, One Hot Minute, Hottie NDIF. Once again, you guys can always donate to my PayPal if you want to support us. John, where's that? Oh, that's in Islam. On. Does that mean the sun? Carlos Delfino, I said him already. Johnny, I said Hadi Nidif. Shout out to Hadi. TW here. TW. Charlotte Knight and Chloe was here. Indigo 1111 was here. So we'll start after I'll read some of these comments. It says one hot minute says, yeah, that's bizarre. Perhaps there's a noise gate. Oh, the microphone. Oh, okay, we'll go further down. Yeah, one hot minute said that, yeah, I've abused my body with a lifetime of athletics. It sure is noticeable now. I do water fasting regularly to aid in chronic pain relief. That's cool. We are a unique generation, one hot minute. Hello, on. You said hi, Ra. Hello. Who else? So we got, yeah, we are a unique generation, one hot minute. Carlos Delfino says they say baseball. I never understand that game. I thought it wasn't violent. Yeah, you know what? It's not really a violent sport, but when you got people running full blast at each other, when you got balls being hit at somebody going over 100 miles an hour, when you got bats being swung, when you got a lot of money on the line in the higher levels and stuff and high competition, whenever you got high competition, you got the chance of someone getting hurt. You got, people running full speed. You got people, hitting balls, fast, hard balls flying around and bats. So yeah. One hot minute says, I prefer it without pain management when it comes to resetting joints. I like to know from feeling that. Yeah. Yeah. I now rub um castor oil on my joints. Thank you. Owen says, interesting broadcast as always. Carlos Delfino saying it's really a rough sport. You might want to watch the English play it. Yeah. I grew up in Soccer Town, USA. One hot minute says John Harkes and Tony Miola. You went to my high school. Yeah, I remember Tony Miola. He played for the New York team here. Yeah, he played for I think he's from New York, didn't he? I thought he was from New York. Yeah, I definitely know. He was a goalie, Tony Miola. I definitely remember Tony Miola. I think now he has I used to listen to his podcast on Sirius XM. I haven't put the channel on in a while because my car is not on the road right now. I mean, it's on the road. It's just it has to be fixed. I haven't drove in like a month. But before that even I mean I still listen to Sirius XM on my phone anyway in the app, but I mostly listen to Fight Nation. It's a combat sports channel, but I used to listen to the soccer, the in the I think it's FC, um Sirius XM FC. I think it's FC channel, the fight the football soccer one. I forget the channel, the name of the channel, but Tony Miola had a show on there on Sirius XM. I don't know if he still does, but he did like last year. Um, I like Tony Miola. He was a good goalie. I like Tony Miola. Yeah, he I don't know if it's a podcast, it's a radio show, but I'm sure they put it in podcast form. It was on Sirius XM. Tony Miola. Yeah. What the hell was the name of the show? Oh, I can't think of the name of the show now. I'll look it up real quick. I know for sure because I've heard him on there. He's not the only host. There's like three of them on the show. Yeah, he's a current radio host on Sirius XM. There it is, Counterattack. That's the name of the show. I knew it. That's his name of his show. It's called Counterattack. Counterattack. Yeah, I've had Sirius XM since like 2009. It's called Counterattack. It's on the soccer channel. I don't know offhand. I'm trying to see what number the soccer channel is. Oh yeah, it's Sirius XM FC. That was right. That's the name of the channel. Sirius XM FC. And that's channel 157. Channel 157. It's the football channel. I actually really like that channel. Right now they have live playing Eric and Jason recap the Tottenham's win over Liverpool and bold predictions for 2025. Yeah. Yep. I like Tony Miola. He was cool. He was a cool goalie, man. That was one of my favorite goalies when I was coming up. Tony Miola. For some reason I always assumed he was from New York. See, that's the thing when you didn't grow up with internet. All right. No doubt, one hot minute. No doubt. See, I'm very cultured. I could talk about all topics, even soccer, football. Actually, in Italian, we called it calcio. Most people don't know that, right? This is how you spell soccer in Italian. I'll put it in the chat room. Oh shit. I just lost the chat room. Calcio. That's it. Calcio. Calcio. So if you want to say like I like soccer, it's mi piace calcio. Yeah, it's weird names in Italian for, you know what basketball is in Italian? Anybody know out there without looking it up? Pallacanestro. It was weird, right? Yeah, it's a weird name for. I always found that weird for basketball. Pallacanestro. I think it's spelt like this. Pallacanestro. The spelling might not be completely right, but I think it's like that. Pallacanestro, something like that. Weird name for basketball, but that's what it is. Pallacanestro. Oh yeah, he is from Jersey, right? Yeah, he's from right outside Manhattan. I knew he was from that area. Yeah. Yeah, I knew he was from the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey. Yeah, because he even played for the New York team. I think he was on the Cosmos or whatever. And the team in the USA. I know he played for a USA team at one point, I think too. Sony Miola. Another edition of the Space Border podcast. You guys, we got all new products in at the Mystical Spiral store as well, guys. So always putting up product every day. New pendants up. I'm gonna put up more today as well. And you guys can do custom orders as well. I just had somebody order uh uh over 5 pound, almost 6 pounds Himalayan quartz skull with a third eye engraved in the forehead. I've never seen another skull like this before, and it's made from high altitude Himalayan quartz, the same type of quartz you see here. See this rainbow quartz? I don't know if you guys can see all the rainbow in it. This is the highest, pretty much the one of the highest qualities you can get, right? This is one of my special skulls, Tef, but the skull that this guy ordered is way bigger than this. And this one, it can be. I wouldn't even sell this one for over $1,000. No way. I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't get rid of it for even that. But whoa! I just saw. an orb go by. Did you guys see that on the top of the screen? I just saw it fly by behind over my shoulder. That was pretty crazy. It was big too. Mod on, huh? This is Tef. His name is Tef. Tef. Tefino. Short for Tefino. Little Tefino. The elongated, sort of like the Indiana Jones movie skull. But this is very detailed. I don't have any other skull that's so detailed over the mouth. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it's above the teeth area is very detailed, and most of them don't have that kind of detail. I don't know if you guys can see it too well, but I'll do separate videos of it. Even these little skulls have detail like that. This is of opal though. Fire Matrix opal. Yeah, Tef is one of my favorite right here. I have my two elongated favorite skulls right here. The labradorite one and the yin and the yang. The labradorite one and the Himalayan quartz, Himalayan rainbow quartz. These are my yin and my yang guns. Bang bang. And this one, the labradorite one, he's got all sorts of tribal engraving on there. See his little tribal symbols? This I added myself. No other one like that in the world. See the engravings on there? And look at the details above the teeth and everything. Highly detailed. And you see they're like war marks. They're like engravings that are like flames and lines. Third eye is just a laser beam of light. Boom. And even the Lutz bone, the back of the spine area, bottom of the head, boom, lit up with light, cosmic rays. Zoom, boom. Yeah, Labrador is one of my favorite. This guy too. He's got the power of the blue wings. He's got rainbow on the tip too, right here. That's what she said. Don't forget, everybody, support me at PayPal. The link is in the live chat. I'll put the link in the description of the video as well. And you guys can also follow my Patreon, subscribe to my Patreon. You can join for as low as $2 a month, everybody. You go waste your money on like a coffee or whatever every day. You got nothing to show for it. You can get priceless knowledge for as low as $2 a month. It helps support my work and it also gets you priceless knowledge. All sorts of not from book recommendations to information on how to do your own radionics paper machines I put a couple of weeks ago. Um, I have the diagrams and everything I put up. I'll show you an example. Like if you want to do broadcasting or anything like that, or manifesting or stuff like that, I put all the diagrams up. Um, like these that you can download that I put up. Like this one right here is for protection, this symbol. There's the broadcasting symbol. There's all sorts of radionics machine symbols that you can make on paper, right? I put those up recently. Nobody even liked the freaking post. I don't even think anybody read it. So, guys, go to my Patreon. I'm putting up priceless information every week. And sometimes I don't think you guys get the emails or whatever, but I'd rather do a lot of these talks on Patreon. I already started a Rumble account. I'm gonna start doing videos on Rumble as well because YouTube's a strange place and I'm already demonetized on here, so I'm just doing this as a passion right now for YouTube. I'm not making any money off these videos. They owe me a few $100. So, um they conveniently stopped paying me like a couple of days before they were supposed to release the money. So, yeah, I like elongated skulls. I make my own elongated skulls as well. So you guys can order elongated skulls from me either custom or I have some already made as well that are for sale. Um I like elongated skulls in different ways. There's different types of an elongated skull. So there are some elongated where they look elongated from the bottom part. So I'll show you what I mean like from that. Um And there's other elongated ones that I have, like the citrine one, that's more like a cosmic flame, like this one. This is natural citrine too. This is a gem. This is made out of gem quality natural citrine. Very expensive citrine right here. And this has got rainbow all throughout it. And it's like a light honey citrine. And this ain't heat treated citrine. This is natural citrine. I don't most people don't realize what a size natural citrine like this goes for. Thousands. I got it for a wholesale price, but still it was $800 to get it wholesale. And it came in a package of I had gotten others with it, but this one specifically was 800. The whole order was about 3,000, but this one specifically was 800. And the only reason why I got it so cheap, I ended up keeping it for myself. The only reason why I got it so cheap was because I had bought 10 other skulls with it. And this is Johnny has one of them or one of the citrine one. Here's another one of the citrine. This one is from Leandro's son Igor, the Souza family in Brazil. And this one has intense rainbow all over it. I don't know if you guys can see it too well because of the video, the camera here, but the rainbow on this is insane. And this one is an elongated skull, but for the from the bottom. So this is what I'll show you. There's different types of elongated. So this one's elongated as well, but you see how it's elongated on the bottom? It droops down. So it's another like an alien type skull, different type of shape of skull. Yeah, I love this pyrite one too. This one is super, super, really realistic carving. Really impressed with the carving on this. Look at the area above the teeth and the teeth area. Really insane. And this is pure pyrite. And you guys know Togo. He illuminates. Oh, look at the rainbow there too. See in the corner. He's got rainbow all over. Diabolical. What's going on in the chat room? You guys still with me? Ooh, one championship is on. Oh, their weigh-ins is on. I don't like their weigh-ins. Who wants to see that? Yeah, pyrite is amazing. But I have some of these I have smaller ones like this of the citrine available for purchase. So if you guys are interested, there's smaller ones. They're nice, pretty nice size too. They're not like miniature miniature. Alrighty. I like how it looks like auroras behind me sometimes. Traveling. You guys see some of the cool comic books right here. One of my favorites, The Rise of the Midnight Suns series. So you guys don't remember that? That was from the 90s. And you had a lot of first you had a lot of first issues in the Midnight Suns edition. So Midnight Suns is where they battle Lilith and all of that. So part one is Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider, right? Number 28 of Ghost Rider. Then part two of six is Ghost Rider and Johnny Blaze, Spirit of Vengeance, number one. Number one, right? And then number three is Morbius, number one is Rise. This is the first edition of Morbius. First, right? Morbius number one, Rise of the Midnight Suns. It's part three. And then number four is number one of Darkhold. Darkhold was the psychic group in Marvel. Really cool. And that's number four of the Rise of the Midnight Suns is number one of Darkhold. And number five of Midnight Suns series is the number one of Night Stalkers, their very first edition. And Night Stalkers is the group of vampire killers, right? Vampire hunters. And Blade is one of them. You see Blade? That's Blade. You know, you guys all probably seen the Blade movie. Well, that's the black guy Blade. That's him right there. Wesley Snipes played it in the movie. Blade. I actually have Blade number one, but I have it hanging up on my wall. Blade number one is show you guys. Son of a bitch. Just knock something down too. This is Blade number one. That's the very first edition of Blade. And then Morbius and the Night Stalkers. They had a whole bunch of different ones in the series. I mean, I have a whole bunch of Morbiuses. More. This is here. This is Morbius number two. Morbius, the living vampire. Then you had Morbius and Spider-Man. He was in. Oh, this was a cool comic too. Sleepwalker. Remember this from? This was a cool one. This is Sleepwalker number one. That was cool. 90s had the best comics. But yeah, Night Stalkers number one is part of the Rise of the Midnight Suns. A lot of the Night Stalkers they get killed by an explosion in the Night Stalkers series, the group, and then Blade goes off on his own. But I stopped reading comics pretty much in the 90s. Um, the only comics that I still read once in a while is Moon Knight because I like Moon Knight. I have Moon Knight number one on my wall too. I'm not taking that one down. No, I don't. Um, and up until like 2017, 2018, I was still getting Spawn every once in a while, but I didn't really like the direction it went. I hadn't really enjoyed it in a while, but I still was getting it monthly because I had like, I just never stopped it at the comic shop. I had a pull and I was getting, you had to have like three comics on your pull to get a continuous pull. So I had like, a couple of different ones. There's a few I collected over the years too, like in mid two like 2015 around there 2017 like the Big Trouble in Little China series that came out I collected and I got the first copy actually signed by the artist that did it. So there's a few things that I collected with comics. Yeah, no, I never kept them for collect for value, just to have them. Like I've always opened them all up and read them and messed around with them, folded them up, cut things out of them, all sorts of things. I used to cut shit out of them and use them as collages. So I never did it with the intention of selling it later for money. So that's not why I've never done anything with monetary intentions really. That's not why I do my YouTube. That's not why I do really things. That's not even why I do the business that I do. If I was doing things to make money, I would have picked something a hell of a lot more mainstream. Trust me, right? I'm doing it because it's my calling. I'd be doing it even if it wasn't, even if, I didn't get paid. So that's the one thing about me. I'm one of the last people. I'm not someone that can sell out. Like I'm unbreakable like that. I've been through it all with that. And part of the reason why I have financial obstacles put in my way sometimes because I don't sell out. And the system hates somebody like me because they like people that sell out quick. Yeah, yeah. Like Spawn changed too. Like I used to get Spawn. There was a few that I got. There was a cool comic that came out like like in 2017, 18. What was this year? It was called Descender. This one, I collected most of them. What year was these? My years are getting all mashed together now. This was 2015. It was 2015 when this was Descender. I liked that. It was a more like science fiction type Descender, but I used to like Morbius, Morbius the Living Vampire. That was a good one. Yeah, here's Morbius number five. That's another one, another classic. See, this is some of the Big Trouble in Little China one that was coming out in like 2015 or so as well. I collected the whole it was like a 25 or 26 book series. This was number 20 here, and this one is number 21. This is 20 and 21 right here. But it's interesting because the Big Trouble in China comic book series starts where the movie left off with that monster thing on the back of the truck. Oh, and this is another one that I liked. This is another one that I liked from Vertigo, the comic Vertigo, comic company Vertigo. But they weren't putting them out often enough. But it was made by one of the guys who also did Batman, Scott Snyder, American Vampire. This was pretty good. I liked American Vampire. This is second cycle. I liked their comic. That comic that was good. That came out in like 2015 as well. I had gotten a few. I was getting it for like the whole year or a couple of years. I got it for. And then of course you guys know about Neil Gaiman, right? The Sandman. This is a great comic. Oh, what's this one back here? Oh yeah, these are the Sandmans right here too. These ones. Sandman comics. Neil Gaiman. Oh, when Mars attacks on the back of that one. Look at that. Cool. All right, everybody. Have a good day and spiral out. Say it with me. Spiral.